Hi there, this is Anne-Marie Sargent of ASargentArt. Please like and subscribe. In this video, I just want to talk a little bit about different types of sketchbooks and different weights of paper, because I get this question a lot. And it's a little misleading because we call our books that we do our art in, we call them sketchbooks. But if you go to a store and you get a book that says sketchbook, it'll only be 30-pound paper, and 30-pound paper is not nearly enough weight for water. 30-pound is just slightly, like normal copy paper is 20-pound paper, nice copy paper is 22-pound paper. So 30-pound paper is not going to handle a lot of water, or really any water at all. So sketchbooks, the 30-pound paper is really used when you're only using dry media, pencil, charcoal, pens, probably not a lot of erasing, because erasing is really hard on paper, just like water is hard on paper. Lifting watercolor is hard on paper. So you're not going to use literal sketch paper, 30-pound sketch paper for that. So when we're talking about paper, we're actually talking about, or we're talking about sketchbooks, we're actually talking about books that are bound, because and I like them in my classes and for myself and my students, because it's just a lot less threatening if you can just turn the page, like, hey, I don't like that one, let's just turn the page, let's just do something else. But I got this sketchbook recently. This is the recent one I've got. It's a Pentalic nature sketch. It's 130-pound. Watercolor paper is 140-pound usually. This is only 25% cotton. Really good water paper is 100% cotton, 140-pound or 300-pound they also have, which is like cardboard. But it wasn't as expensive, and actually I'm really liking it. It's a really nice paper. It handles, not quite done with that sketch yet, but it handles a lot of water. It can do kind of cool things with the water, so I'm liking that. But I've been working a lot on people, and just people like when I'm, this is from a class I'm taking with Toby of Sketch Loose, sketching people class, which is really helpful. I've been drawing people on my ferry commute. This is also from the Sketch Loose class, one of the assignments. So I'm having a good time. He has really good tips. I highly recommend it if you're ready to advance to people in your sketches. But this is a little too much paper. 130 pounds is a little too much paper for this this type of drawing. And really, even if I want to put some watercolor, like let's say I want to give her, some red in her hat, and I can even lift a little bit, and that's nice. I can make him have a blue sweater. But if I'm only doing painting just a tiny little space, I don't really need this much paper, this heavy weight of paper for that. So for that, it makes more sense to do a mixed media paper for this size of drawing. I mean, again, if I'm gonna do something where I'm kind of flooding the paper, like for the background here, then this is really nice paper for that. But for this, it's just not really necessary because I'm only having little shapes of water. I like it for this one. Let's see what else I got in here. Here's more people. Don't need this paper for that. More people. The start of some fruit. A sketch I did waiting for my dog at the vet. Oh, this one. This is good for this paper because I do have a lot of water on this. Let's see what else. Oh, I did this on a trip. This was good. I put a lot of water here for the background. This one, a lot of water for all of these backgrounds. But for these, like I said, for these smaller shapes, which frankly I don't even know if I'm going to paint, because that's not really the point. I'm practicing drawing people who are moving, or commuters not moving that much. I don't really need 130-pound really nice paper. I'd rather save this for more on location, proper kind of drawings or paintings. So then what I can do is I can use more of a mixed media book This is 114 pound, a Canson XL, mixed media. So this is a good size for when you're not going to flood your paper so much with water, you know, not going to cover it or do backgrounds or have a bunch of the paper covered with water. Just do, you know, little, you can see this was the book I was using for teaching. So I'm just doing lots of different things. This was probably a bit much for this paper. It kind of buckled a little bit. But that's okay. You know, it's not a tragedy. And some people that doesn't bother at all. It does kind of bother me when my paper buckles. I don't really like that. So this was also kind of a lot of water for this paper. You can just kind of feel it while you're using it. So, but this is a great paper for smaller shapes of paint where you're not going to cover the whole thing. So I ended up doing one of the exercises in Sketch Loose was to do a continuous line drawing. And I did our dog Shep kind of over and over on himself. But then I decided to put some background. Now this probably was kind of a little much for this paper, but it handled it okay, primarily because even though there's a background, it just looked kind of boring without a background. And I want to submit it to the class for comments from him. So I put a background on it, but it's really okay because it's still pretty small shapes. I haven't flooded the whole paper. I used a water-soluble pen, so I could just use like a water brush and kind of move the ink around. And then here, you know, like this is really the biggest shape of water, but otherwise, you know, I have pretty small shapes of water. So, you know, that all kind of, it worked out just fine on this paper. That wasn't my original intention. I meant to do something more like this, but I was having fun, and this is what it turned into. But I guess my point is that I wouldn't necessarily, I don't really want to waste 130 pound paper on something like this. I'd rather use a mixed media book, or this is a lighter sketchbook. I don't remember. I think this is only like 90 pound paper, and you can see how much it buckles under water. And there's not even that much water on this. I mean, there's no background or anything. So this book, it's a lighter weight than I usually buy, and it turned out to not really be the best for my purposes. This one turned out okay, even though I put a background on it. Still need to paint the flowers, but I pressed it under books because it was so buckled from all of the water. So I just loaded up some books on top of once it dried and I took the masking fluid off, I loaded up books on top of it and flattened it out again. But really for drawing, you know, something like this, 80 pound paper, drawing paper, 70 pound, 80 pound paper is great because it feels nice. You can erase it if you know, and really kind of dive into your drawing techniques because the paper will handle erasing, but it's just not, it's not overdoing it. It's not more paper than you need for the task. So that's why I have probably, I don't know, four to six sketchbooks going at a time. Again, I'm calling this a sketchbook because I'm using it that way, but it's not a sketchbook in terms of if you go to the store and you see sketchbook, that's going to be 30 pound paper and it's not enough. So drawing paper is great for when I became ready to really challenge myself with drawing and wanted to be able to erase and get it right, drawing paper, 70, 80 pound paper was the right paper weight for the erasing. Sketchbook paper is really like you're using pencil or pen, you're not erasing it, you're not putting any water on it. And then, you know, there's a whole variety from there. But honestly, throughout the years, I've just bought different sketchbooks. Like, even though I'm not thrilled with how this one is going with the buckled paper and stuff, I'm still going to use it. I'm just going to use it differently. Like, this is actually a great book to use for my people studies because I'm only going to have, where's that other book now? I'm only going to have little tiny people. And if I want to put color on them, then I'm just not going to have enough, I'm not going to have enough water to make the paper buckle. And then I can kind of, you know, paint different aspects of the people if I want to add some color to the page. and still get the practice of drawing the people. And again, this is like 90-pound paper. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. I know it's complicated. There's a lot out there, but I would say just, whatever you get, just use it and use it the way that it works. If it doesn't want if it doesn't want to be covered in watercolor, then don't use it that way. Use it for practicing doodles or drawing skills or different shapes, leaving lots of white. You can also do a scene, but then leave lots of white. And so then each of the wet shapes are smaller and the paper is able to handle it. Anyway, hope that was helpful. See you soon.